cost. So, guys, yesterday for me was a bad day. Barcelona getting beat by Inter Milan. And as you can tell, yesterday I was. Anyone that was on the stream yesterday would have seen that. I was. Be honest with you, I was disappointed, man. I wanted Barca to make that final because I believe that the final between Barca and PSG, obviously they still got to beat Arsenal today. I think that would have been the ideal final, but I think full credit goes to Inter Milan, and for sure, man, they've. I mean, you probably said that they deserved it. I think Barca should be pissed off if I'm honest. I think Barca at least should have killed the game off. I believe either in this first leg as well, second leg, they were way too open for me. But ultimately, yeah, Inter Milan got it done, and obviously they're into the final. But guys, before we start, just want to say big up to everyone that's been tuning in. Big up to everyone that's come on and contributed with the comments as well. So I finally hit 1K subscribers, which is for me it's decent. I think it is good, a good milestone to hit. Obviously, I do want to obviously keep growing, and again, if you guys do like my content, be sure to smash the like button, help the channel grow, and obviously as well, keep subscribing, guys. So that milestone of 1K, as I said, is now been hit. And personally for myself, there's bigger and better to come. And I have to just keep working. And that's all it is, really. So just want to say, yeah, thanks to everyone for contributing to the channel and helping me get to 1K subs. So guys, today, Bruno Fernandes, and I have to be honest, I didn't really see this coming. And some of the figures that have been quoted, obviously there's been over the last couple of days, there's been talk about Al Hilal in Saudi, obviously interested in Bruno Fernandes for 120 million. I think the wage they want to offer is, I think it works out to like 65 million a year, which is like 1.25, I think, million a week. And for me, this is a deal that Manchester United, for me, will be very silly to turn down. You know what? Bruno's 30 years of age. He's going to turn 31 in, I believe it's September. To get 120 million for a player of Bruno Fernandes' level, I think United need to just take that money and run, because regardless of what people's opinions about Bruno Fernandes, he is not worth 120 million. Is he worth 120 million to Man United? I would say no, because I do think that, again, a lot of people look at Bruno's GA and think that his GA is what is getting people to think that he's a lot better than what he is. I think Bruno's a good player, but the way that a lot of these fans talk about Bruno is if he's special. And if Saudi are dumb enough to come in for 120 million, Man United need to take that and run. Take that and run as far as they can, because to get that amount of money for a 30-year-old that's going to turn 31 in September, and again, United need to think about, they're not going to get a bid like this again if they turn it down. And I think the fact that Saudi are very interested in Bruno Fernandes, Man United need to capitalize on that and just make sure that they get the best deal for the club. I would say, and if they're getting 120 million, as I said, that's something that they need to just not even think about and just take that deal, because again, his wage, he's on 300 grand a week at United. They can save that wage. You've got 120 million there as well. And first and foremost, Man United do need to get players into the club. But for me, it would be a good opportunity for players that haven't been featuring as much. The likes of Kobe Mainu. You got Sekou Kone coming through as well. You've got Toby Collier, again, who's for me is a squad player. If you can get other players in that area of the pitch coming through, and you can save money at the same time and buy in key areas, this is the way United need to be going forward for me, because I've heard a lot of noise over the last couple of days saying that Bruno is indispensable to United. United shouldn't be selling him at any cost. He loves the club. All this nonsense that you keep hearing. And we're really going to see now if Bruno does love the club, because the offer that's on the table for me, yeah, like that is too good to turn down. Well, I say it's too good to turn down. It's impossible to turn down. To get paid, obviously tax free as well, 1.25 mil a week. You'd be an idiot to turn that down. And some of these fans that are coming out saying that Bruno loves the club and United should reject the offer. If we're looking at Bruno Fernandes, I look at him as a man, and I think if he actually turns that down, he's a fool. Let's be honest, because as I said, if the guy was like, what, 22, 23, you'd say, you know what, this offer might come again in the future, but he's 30 and going to be 30, 31 in September. So for me, it's a no-brainer, and what I look at as well, obviously, as we know, the Saudi League is trying to recruit a lot of the best players, or a lot of the top players around Europe. And obviously, the thing with Bruno Fernandes, I am surprised that they've chosen him as the marquee guy. I mean, it was Mo Salah, but obviously Salah's signed a new contract, so he's the next one. Big up to Raunak Agahari. Yeah, big up. Make sure you smash that like button and make sure you subscribe to my channel. Just hit 1K yesterday, and obviously just trying to build. As I said, for me, if yeah, big up to Millie, big up Millie. So as I said, if Saudi are making him the marquee signing after Salah, then as I said, I'm surprised, but this could be a sign of things to come. And as I said, I think the fact that Bruno has been the guy that they've actually chosen, and with that fee as well, again, that's going to be difficult to turn down for anyone, And I believe Ineos, I believe they capitalize on that as well for sure. And I also believe that Bruno Fernandes will look at his career at the club and think, what's he been there for? What, 5 or 6 years? I think he'll look at that and think, this team realistically ain't going to challenge with him there, for the title or Champions League over the next 2 to 3 years. And by that time, he'll be, what, 33, 34? And then, again, his contract will be coming to an end. So the opportunity that Saudi have presented to him, is going to be too good to turn down. So, as I said, I think that it's a no-brainer. And what I would say about Bruno Fernandes in this team as well, he needs to go, for me, for the betterment of the team, because everything runs through Bruno. The system that is played by Ruben Amorim, the system is Bruno, technically, because, Bruno takes every corner, every free kick. He's a penalty taker. He's the captain. And for me, if any team wants to thrive, you can't be hell reliant on just one player. And a player like Bruno Fernandes isn't the kind of player that you play through either. A lot of people will say that he's the best player, he's the key man. And for me, is there any surprise why on the pitch the team have struggled over the years since he's been there? Because since Bruno Fernandes has come to the club has been at its worst. And again, I'm not saying that's solely Bruno's fault, but he plays a massive part in this, because everything goes through him. If you look at the managers he's had before him, the likes of Solskjaer, Ten Hag, and now Ruben Amorim, all three managers were an absolute disgrace, and all three managers have made Bruno the key man. And throughout all those times, it's when United have been struggling the worst. So is there any surprise? If Louis van Gaal was in charge, there's no way Louis van Gaal would make his team reliant on Bruno Fernandes. Look at Ralph Rangnick, for instance. When he came in, Rangnick didn't make everything go through Bruno. So this is what I'm trying to say to you. So a player like him being moved on is going to be crucial for the club as a whole. I hear people saying Ineos, they won't spend that money that they've got coming in, or do we know where the money's going to go? I believe that Ineos will, again, a lot of people are probably not seeing this, but I do believe Ineos, in terms of the players they may not have been linked to, I do believe that they are going to get it right. And yeah, I think if that bid comes in, there should be no debate, man. Take that money for a player that's going to be turning 31 in September, and you keep it moving because, as I said, Man United have got a lot of work to do. And do I believe Bruno Fernandes is fundamental to Man United's future going forward? I don't. I don't. I think United need to go in a different direction and recruit players for the club, not players for the manager, and recruit players, most importantly, that are pure footballers. You know, there ain't too many, but these are the kind of players United need to be targeting for me. Big up DXR. So DXR says, yo, dude, what a game last night. Yeah, it was. It was a mad game, man. If he was on the stream yesterday, I was disappointed, to be honest with you, man. I wanted Barca to go through into the final, and I just felt that, you know, I think Barca Barca must be disappointed because they let Inter Milan back into that game. You know, I know that there was a call for a free kick before they scored the equaliser, Inter Milan, but I think the defence, as I said yesterday, the defence was so high, Inter Milan were getting in at will, and I would have at least thought Hansi Flick or the defenders or Szczesny would have just taken it upon themselves to just say to the defence and the midfield to just drop slightly so the spacing behind wasn't there. But the way Barcelona play is the way they play, and again, yeah, it was devastating, man, for me personally, because Barca is my second team, and they should have easily been in that final for me, you know. But credit to Inter Milan, they kept going. And what was mad as well is that, having watched that game, that second half, Inter Milan looked dead out on their feet. And the two changes that Simone Inzaghi done was clever. So he brought on Zielinski and who's the other guy? He brought Zielinski and Fratesi on for Çalhanoğlu and Mkhitaryan. And then he brought on Mediterranean for Lautaro Martinez. And to be honest with you, it was a masterstroke because all three of them played their part in Inter Milan getting back into the game. And yeah, as I said, it was a key change that he'd done. And ultimately, that's what helped get them over the line in the end, you know. So big up Makim. Makim says, would you swap Enzo for Bruno? I wouldn't. For me, I would say, for where in this system now, obviously, because Bruno doesn't have a defined place in this system, you know. He is someone that is being fitted in, really, because he can't play as a 10. He's better in central midfield, but if you're looking for an ideal profile for that position, he isn't that. So if we're talking about a change of system, playing someone in the 10, as I said, for me, I'm looking at players like, which again you're not going to get, but Florian Wirtz, you know, Morgan Rogers, you know, players like that as number 10s, Eze, Cunha. If you're playing as number 10s in this system now, all them players that I mentioned can play in that system as well. But I wouldn't swap Enzo for Bruno. No, I wouldn't. I think Enzo's a good player, but yeah, I wouldn't swap him for Bruno. In the same sense, I wouldn't swap Bruno for Enzo, you know. So, yeah. Big up DXR. DXR says, you heard it here first, this channel gonna blow up. Yeah, big up, bro, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. As I said, guys, if you didn't know, I hit 1K yesterday, you know, so a big milestone. You know, it was a bit of a headache at times trying to get to that milestone. But I think the consistency that I've been putting in, you know, is key. And that just goes for anything in life, guys. You know, if you want something badly, you got to work for it, man. And no one's gonna give you anything for free, you know. But you got to keep just putting in the work and, as I said, being consistent. And as I said, I've reached 1K now, but on to bigger and better things, man. So I'm not satisfied really at getting to 1K, because I do believe, as DXR said, I do believe in terms of my knowledge in football, my past experiences, you know, I do believe the channel will grow. But as I said, man, just gotta just keep it going. And yeah, DXR, man, big up, bro, each and every time. Yeah, big up, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, do you know what? Yeah, I will start doing watch-alongs. I will. I will start doing it because I think I've done one or two. before. But I will start doing watch-alongs. I'll probably, if anything, I might even do a watch-along for the Europa League final if Man United get there. Which, again, if anyone's heard the news today, Nico and Inaki Williams are both out of the second leg, which again strengthens United's chances. So you'd expect United to definitely go through. I know both of them were pretty poor in the first leg, but the way that Athletic Bilbao play, they're both fundamental to Bilbao's system. So the fact both of them haven't been included in the squad. Man United, for me, there's no way they mess this up, and yeah, so they'll definitely be in the final. So yeah, I think I'll do a watch along to the Man United and well, if it's Tottenham or Bodo Glimt, hopefully it's Tottenham. It's gonna be a better final for me. So yeah, I might do a watch on to the Man United Tottenham Europa League final. If both teams get there. But yeah, big up, man. Yeah, listen. In as I said, Inter was my dark horse team to get to the final. I did say that at the start. But because they were playing the team that that I said will win it, I think it just shows that their resilience is mad. Because, as I said, in that second half, Barca were just pressuring them. They had the chances. I know they had obviously the chance from Yamal at the end of normal time. The one that Eric Garcia missed on his left foot, which was poor. They had their chances, and I thought there's no way Inter win this game. And it just shows you, man, if you just keep going, you keep trying to the end, something will drop for you. But in the same sense, Fratese's goal was just poor defending, because how he was allowed to get into the box without a challenge. And again, I do think Pau Kabasi is a very good defender, but he showed his naivety there in that position, because the fact that he didn't go and engage the ball and just put a leg out, again, that was the experience, because a more experienced defender doesn't even let that shot go through. So yeah, but it was a great game, man. And as I say, full credit to Inter Milan. They've actually done themselves proud, man, to be honest. Yeah, I see Hansi Flick was complaining. Yeah, I see that actually. But yeah, I think there was a few decisions that the referee, was yeah, exactly. He was a bit biased in my opinion. The Lamine Yamal where he got fouled. You know what? I actually think that was actually good refereeing, because that could have been taken either way, because the contact was actually slightly just outside the box, even though Yamal obviously did land in the box. So that was a tough call, but he probably got that one right. But the foul on Gerard Martin, again, I didn't see it in real time, because, again, I was setting my stream up for 10 o'clock when Barca were 3-2 up. As I've come downstairs, I've just seen that I've seen the Inter Milan players celebrating, and I just had to change the time, because obviously it was getting extra time. So yeah, but for me, there was a few questionable decisions that the ref was doing, but I think all in all, I think Barca just have to be disappointed within themselves, really, because how they didn't get over the line. To concede 3 goals at home, and then 4 goals away is is inexcusable, really. So yeah, and that's what happens. This elite competition, if you don't take your chances, or if you're going to be open at the back, then what do you expect? You're going to be under the pressure, man. And again, man, I think a great game, but they must feel to themselves that they've let one go there. Big up to Exedra, says, "Hi Gav, just found your channel. You say some good stuff, man. Keep it up." Exedra, big up, man. Big up for coming on. Appreciate that a lot. As I said, yeah, football's my life, man. And as I say, I've played, I've watched for years, and I've coached. You know what I mean? So it's one of them things where, yeah, like whether it's your favorite team, whether it's any other team, I'm here for the conversation, man. As I said, and again, I also like watching wrestling, boxing, UFC. So if you have any questions about them as well, then be sure to put that in the live chat. And big up yourself for coming on. Yeah. Guys, let's try and hit at least 10 likes. We've only got 4 at the moment. So if you haven't smashed that like button, just make sure you smash that like button on the way in or on the way out. But big up yourselves. So DXR says, for real, man, I'm doing professional paper for accountancy right now. Football is saving me right now from becoming depressed. Yeah, bro, big up, man. I got a friend actually that's an accountant as well. And I think obviously, you know, certain jobs, you know, are tough mentally as well. You know, physically as well, they're a bit, you know, you're not really moving about as much as well. But in terms of football, you know, football talk, you know, is for me is key, you know. And as I said, like, you're someone that always comes into the chat, you know, with good questions, man, and good opinions. And this is what it's about, you know. Everyone's not meant to agree on everyone's opinion, but I've noticed obviously since you've come onto the channel, you know, you have come in with some good takes, man. And this is what I love. I love reacting to questions, you know. And you know, we might not always agree on certain things, but again, this is what it's about, man. Having dialogue and just talking about a game that I definitely love, you know. And if it helps you from being depressed, man, again, that's key, man. You know, because you know life's a big struggle as it is, you know, and you got to find stuff that you like doing, which can yeah, which can obviously improve your mental state, really, you know. But yeah, big up yourself each and every time, man, for coming on. And hopefully, hope your accountancy work does go well as well, man. You keep onto it. Yeah, Exedra, man. That's exactly what I was saying. You know, I'm not gonna lie, man. There was times where I was thinking, this is getting frustrating because you know you're a few short and it's just not happening. And but again, like I never get like, you know, down about it because it is what it is. You got to start from somewhere. And as I said, the fact that I love doing this, you know, it's easy. Like I find talking about football so easy. And as I said, the first 1,000's been reached, and yeah, we'll keep it going, really. But big up yourself. And guys, again, if it's your first time in there, make sure you subscribe, make sure you smash the like button, and check out my other content, guys. I've got some good content on there that you guys might find interesting. You know, I've got a poll coming out as well, guys, at 3 o'clock. I've got a poll coming out as well in regards to my stream today. So yeah, make sure you interact with the poll as well and let me know what you think. Big up to Sam. United. Yeah, big up. Obviously, Thursday's game, you know, United need to be getting over that line for sure. And yeah, there'll be no excuses. So Exedra says we're going through 100%. Bilbao focusing on the league. They're fourth. Villarreal is 3 points behind fifth. Betis is 1 point behind them in sixth. Yeah, Exedra, what I would say, you know, for me, there's no excuse. You know, Man United 3-0 up at home. Athletic Bilbao missing Inaki and Nico Williams, although from the first leg they were poor. But as I said, they are two of their better players. And for me, there's no excuse. You know, as I said, if Ruben Amorim doesn't get into the final or win the final, for me, he needs to be sacked in the dressing room. I don't want to see him next season. You know, I've made that pretty clear over my last few streams. But tonight, I expect United to go through, even though, you know, Matthias de Ligt is out injured. There's no chance that tonight, sorry, on Thursday, should I say? There's no chance that Man United get beat. You know, 3-0 is a big score. I think if it was 1-0, you know, it's in the balance. But being 3-0 up and at home, and having two players out that would be threats for Bilbao, there's no chance United throw this away. You know, not even as bad as they've been this season. You know, so I think it's safe to say, man, book your tickets for that final. You know, get ready for the final because they will be getting there. Big up to Charlie Mello. Yeah, big up Charlie. So Charlie, my favourite sport, man, is football. You know, but I do like wrestling. Obviously, you got Backlash coming up on Sunday. Boxing, UFC. Yeah, so as I said, but football's my thing, you know. But big up each and every time, man, for coming on. Uh, so yeah, my mod's not in there at the moment. But guys, if you are regular on the channel, then again, man, I can make you a mod on the channel. So DXR, man, if you wanna hit me up, man, on one of the comments after the stream's ended, then I can sort out making you a mod. Because again, this channel is not for dickheads. So I only want to have proper conversations, man. And if you're not here for that, then my mod normally is normally always in there, but I think he's probably busy today, but he's always on job. So as I said, if DXR, if you hit me up afterwards, man, I can try and sort it out for you, man. If you want to be a mod on my channel. Big up to Barbara Joseph, says, I see your passion, Gav goes in. Congratulations for reaching it. Keep smashing great content. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, as I said, it's been no, I wouldn't say it's been tough, but it's been a bit frustrating. But as I said, keep working. There is times as well where you feel like you can't be bothered. But again, these are the times you gotta just get through and just make it happen. And that's what I'm doing. So yeah, but big up for your comment. Exedra says, "Oh, I'm already hammering out, Gav. This manager hasn't earned the privilege of a transfer window." Exedra, we're speaking from the same hymn sheet, man. Because all these fans that think that, and again, if you've been watching my channel for a little bit, you will know where I'm going with this. But a lot of these fans keep saying he needs his own players. Tell me a manager apart from Pep or Klopp that has been given their own players. And what people are not realizing is that these managers have earned the time to be at the club for the longevity and get their own players. The way football is now, that's not gonna happen, because football's an average span for a manager now is probably what, 3 years, I would say. So a manager's not gonna get that kind of luxury no more. So the fact that Amorim is doing a poor job with the players he has already, a different system that I don't really like, but if it's his system, fair enough. But he ain't getting a good job. He ain't doing a good job with these players in this system. Why is Ineos going to trust him with a transfer window in the summer, or give him 11 players? Or 9 or 10 players. That's never going to happen. And for me, he hasn't even, as you said, he hasn't even earned the right to get a transfer window. And this is what I'm trying to say to you. His only objective is to win the Europa League. Because me personally, I wouldn't even have him as manager next season, regardless if he won it or not. But he would have a good point to say, look, it's been a dreadful season, but at least I've won a trophy. But on average, Man United have won what, 9 out of 9, have been to finals 9 out of 10 times in the last 10 years. So, I mean, him winning a trophy isn't really a big thing for me, because United are expected to be doing that. And as I said, if he wins a trophy, he might look back and say, look, I've won a trophy, so I deserve the start of the season. Me personally, the way the team's been playing, the league form, I know they're unbeaten in the Europa League, but let's face it, if the format never changed, they would have been out a long time ago, because the better teams would have dropped down. But he might look at it and say, look, I've won a trophy, I deserve the start of the season. But personally, if I'm Ineos, if I'm Jim Ratcliffe, I'm just sacking him, because it ain't good enough, regardless of what anyone says. So all these people that say he deserves his own players and a transfer window, it's nonsense, absolute nonsense. He hasn't done a good job with the players he has. If Man United were performing relatively well in the league and they were in the Europa League final and they win it, then I would say, you know what, get him a few players. But he hasn't earned the players. He hasn't earned the right to get his own players. Not to mention, can you even trust him to play the right players in the first place? And this is the problem with Ruben Amorim. But yeah, no, great question. So as I said, yeah, I don't want him to stay next season, but we'll have to see what happens. So Exedra says, I'd much rather let another manager spend the 200 million or whatever the budget is. 100% Exedra, because for me, as I said, this 3-4-2-1 system, I don't even like, if I'm honest with you. I prefer 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1. But the problem is that Amorim is hell-bent on playing this. And you look at, there's not many managers that play this system, you know what I mean? Or play it the way that he does, in a sense. So for me, I'd much prefer, you know, if a manager comes in and just goes back to four at the back. And again, he's playing Kobe in the wrong position for me. Kobe needs to be playing in one of the 10s. But if Kobe was to play in a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, you can see him playing back in the centre. It's just that this system doesn't suit his attributes. And for me, you know, I just hope this isn't Ineos's model of playing three at the back. And I don't think it is. I think they got this manager in believing he's one of the best young coaches in the world or in Europe. And so far, he hasn't proved that. So, you know, I would say, I would go as far as saying they're probably having second thoughts, but they're probably seeing what happens at the end of the season. And they're probably looking at the Europa League, if I'm honest, and to see how he gets on, you know. If they was to get rid of him at the end of the season, regardless of Europa League, I would respect them a lot more, because I've seen enough of this manager to know that, you know, even if you do give him better players, I can't trust him to play them in the right position or to play the right players. So this is why I don't really trust Amorim. And for me personally, regardless of what he does in Europe, I don't want him there next season. But if he does win Europa, again, he'll have a good case to say, look, I've won a trophy. So it just comes down to really what Ineos or Ratcliffe are actually thinking. If they feel like there's someone else that's better that is out there, you know. Yeah, big up the XR, bro. As I said, man, make sure you if you just send me a comment in the after the stream's ended, then again I'll sort out you putting you as a mod, man, because you're one of the regulars on there as well. And Sham as well, man. If you're in there, Sham, make sure you shout me as well in one of the comments at the end of the stream, and I'll sort out you being a mod as well. But big up yourselves, man. Big up each and every time, people. So Master says Connor tapped the UFC. To be fair, Conor McGregor put UFC, you would say, on the map. You know, as I said, if we're looking at, if we were to say who's the best 5 fighters ever in UFC, Conor McGregor's not in there. You know, but the fact that he's put UFC on the map, you know, he's the biggest attraction, you would say, in that sense. You know, so yeah, I would definitely agree with that. So Master says, yeah, coming up with nonsense. I don't know what this is. So facts, Gav, let alone the fact that this manager at max will get 5 to 6 players, of which maybe 3 to 4 are going to be good. So it will be the same players pretty much. Exactly. So again, 5 to 6 players, I don't even believe he'll get that, because he has to earn the right to, because Mike, can you see Man United signing 5 or 6 players in the summer? I think at best, you know, he might get 3. And then again, you know, are they going to be, does he even deserve to get 3 players? Because as I said, I don't think he does. And I think as well, you know, United need to be signing players for the clubs, not for the manager. You know, you're hearing talk about Gyökeres. I don't want Gyökeres at United. I think Liam Delap, for me, you know, in terms of what he offers, you know, his all-round game, definitely I think that he's someone that should be targeted. Victor Osimhen, again, would I take him over Gyökeres? I probably would, but he isn't the ideal, you know. Me personally, guys, I just want Man United to revert back to a 4-3-3 or to a 4-2-3-1 and just restore Joshua Zirkzee as a striker. You know, that's what I want. And then if you want to bring in a Liam Delap that fits the system like that, who's a good player, then I'm all for that, you know. But the Gyökeres and the Osimhens, you know, if Osimhen wants too much money, then you stay away from that. Gyökeres, as I said, I don't think Gyökeres is that good. I just think he's hyped because of the amount of goals he's scoring in Portugal. But I don't think he's that good, you know. So yeah, as I said, I don't think Amrim's going to get 5 to 6 players. And again, he's not earned to get that amount of players. And as Exedra said, by average, yeah, 3 or 4 will only be good. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see though, because personally, I just want this season to end. It's been a dreadful season for United. They need to end it with a Europa League win and see what happens in the summer. Because for me, this is going to be the biggest summer transfer window United have had, and a lot of it's going to be focused on the outgoings. Because for me, Rasmus Højlund, Garnacho, they're the main two for me that have to go. Um, Bruno Fernandes now, as we've been talking about, is subject of interest from Saudi, and for me, United have to take that offer if it comes in. And these things as well need to be done, because I don't want to go into another season when I'm seeing those three players starting games for Man United, because as much as fans that these guys have, it's gonna be the same old shit. So and as I said, I'm tired of that. DXR says, I don't want to compare FIFA, the game, to real life football, yeah. But when I tried playing free at the back in the game, I went on a losing streak. Yeah, bro. Listen, I know it's a game, man, but it's not a common formation, really. I think if you look around what world football now, you got Inter Milan who play a free at the back. Um, I'm talking about the top teams. So you're looking at probably only Inter Milan. Inter Milan and Bayer Leverkusen. They're the only teams really that are the top teams that play free at the back. A lot of the teams build up at free at the back. Build up with free at the back, but their starting systems isn't free at the back. So it's a very niche system, and again, you need to have specialists in that system. So if you look at the wing backs need to be, for me, attackers, but need to be athletes as well, getting up and down that pitch. Which, if anyone knows, just from playing football, wing back isn't a nice position to play. It's a very draining position, and you have to be willing to play that position. Which, for me, you got to be some sort of personality to play that position, because it's not easy. You look at the central midfield players, you need experience in that area of the pitch. You need legs, and you need someone as well that can break the lines from that position with their passing, which is why and good in the first phase as well of play, which is why I think when I've mentioned Carlos Baleba, he's a certainty for me, because he's young, he's left-footed, he can break the lines with his passing, he's an athlete, even though he hasn't got a lot of experience in the league, but he's played over the last couple of seasons a lot for Brighton. So as I said, he's an ideal solution for me in this Man United system. So Man United need to be looking at someone like him, and if they was to get money for Bruno, if they want to replace that central midfield position, he should be the ideal target, because I believe he can go right to the very top. But as I said, DXR, like, that three at the back isn't an ideal formation for me, but Amrin sees hellbent on playing that. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens in the summer, man. But I just want this team to go back to playing four at the back. That's the ideal. But yeah, big up Exedra. So DXR says Exedra three at the back, more for Serie A. Premier League is too intense. I agree. I agree 100%, because the build-up play in Italy is very slow, as we all know. And, you don't get many teams that want to try and get in behind, And if you look at a lot of the defenses for Italy as well, they don't really play with a high line, Whereas this Premiership, you get more of a high line, players relying on their pace. And again, this is why, like, Man United are getting caught out a lot of times, because the players are not used to this system, and the fact that these fans keep saying he needs his own players, like, it doesn't make any sense, because why would they just come in and give him his own players when he ain't proven anything with the player he has? This is the problem. But yeah, it's just mad. It's mad. But again, opinions, and I think everything just falls back to Ineos to see what they're going to do at the end of the day, at it come the end of the season. From the Ineos perspective, they're already lost, Gav. If they back him, they're backing someone who's been 16th, and if they sack him, they've made a mistake appointing him. Just a horrible state we're in. 100% agree. I think with Ineos, there's been a lot of talk with the cutbacks they've made. I do think Ineos have done good things in terms of the players Man United have been linked with, in terms of the players that have come through the door now as well. You look at Xerxes, for me, top player. Matthias de Ligt, top player. Lenny Yoro, stealing him from Real Madrid. Mazraoui, 12 million. I mean, the guy, if you're looking at value for money, I don't think there's been a better player value for money. I think Mazraoui is the ultimate squad player. He never has a bad game. Very consistent. So you look at the deals that they've done there, there's no argument. The worst deal I think they've done, which is Manuel Ugarte, is because Ugarte, for me, is more of a squad player in terms of, he's someone that you bring on to kind of see out a game. Because obviously, he's going to hunt the ball down. But in terms of his quality and what Man United need, he's not the level. And he's probably been the surprising one, the worst addition out of the lot. But as a whole, I've been happy with Ineos's acquisitions and the players that United are getting linked to. But as I said, yeah, they've like, if they're looking at this seriously, they're seeing a manager that's in 15th or 16th place. They have to pull the plug regardless of what he does in Europe. That's the ideal, And for me, if they don't do that, yeah, it's going to be a strike against their name. But I don't know why, but I've just got a feeling that, because you hear Man United haven't got any money to sack him as well. Well, if they get money in for Bruno Fernandes, there will be money there. And I do believe United have money. I think all this, they haven't got any money. I think it's just hearsay. I think it's just talk. Man United do have money. They do. I believe anyway. So, but yeah, we'll see if they sack him, because me personally, the standards of this club are at an all-time low. And if they sack Amorim, regardless of what he does this season, because let's be honest, this league season has been nothing but a joke. I believe since he's come in, from what I heard the other day, he's accumulated 24 points since he's come in, which is shocking. I think from a possible 70 something, I think it might be, which is shocking. So, as I said, the Europa League for him might be his saving grace, but for me, and if Ineos are serious, they just sack him at the end of the season, because it's just not good enough. Big up, Reluctant Gamer. Big up, bro. Yeah, big up for coming on. As I said, that's Reluctant Gamer's my mod. That you guys were mentioning earlier, that someone needed to time out someone coming in the chat. But yeah, big up, bro, for coming on. So DXR says Conor made UFC popular. Yeah, he did, man. He put UFC on the map, definitely, because his press conferences, he's trash talking, the way he backed it up as well in the ring. But as I said, he isn't the top 5 best in UFC, but in terms of what he's brought to the sport, he's number 1, and no one can argue that. So, yeah, man, UFC owe a lot to him, really, because he's put them on the map because of his personality, really, But for me, John Jones is the best for me. Him and Anderson Silva in their prime. Yeah, and George St. Pierre as well. I think them three there, man, I think it's hard to argue against them three for me. Big up to Daniela Iacona as well. Yeah, big up for coming on. Yeah, guys, reached 1K, and as I said, on the road to bigger and better. So a lot of UFC gyms opened up in Jewelry Quarter, Birmingham during that 2015-18 period. I never realized that. Obviously, I know Leon Edwards is from them. Is from Birmingham, so he probably must have been one of them players, one of them fighters as well. Because obviously left mid and right mid will have to work double right attack and then defense, like how Garnacho are gonna do both. Yeah, exactly. But what people are forgetting is that in this system right now, the 10s are not wingers. They're number 10s, and number 10s were seen as your mercurial go-to player. If you look at the number 10s from the past, the likes of Ronaldinho, Riquelme, Pablo Aimar, Francesco Totti, Del Piero, and many more, Bergkamp, Zola, these guys were number 10s. Letitia, No, obviously Letitia never wore number 10 on his back, just like a few others. Di Canio, these guys were number 10s in a 4-4-2 era, where they used to drop off and create, and get goals as well. The number 10 in this system, is virtually the same thing, which is why you've got wing backs to do that job. But the fact that this manager sees Garnacho as a 10 in this system, he should be sacked just because of that. Because Garnacho's attributes are as a wing back, So the fact this manager plays Garnacho as a 10, it's an insult to football. Because the number 10s that I've just mentioned, and again, there's players that I've even forgot, some of the greats, yeah? These guys were number 10s, which meant that you were the go-to guy. And just because the system is different doesn't mean that we have to forget about that, because number 10s are number 10s for a reason. So if you're playing a left 10 and right 10, it's because these guys are seen as your creators, regardless of what system it is. This is why you play the likes of an Ahmad in a 10, even though he might be better suited right now to play as a wing back. But for me, he's a 10 and can play as a 10 in this system. If you're bringing in Cunha, he's a 10, But he plays Bruno and Garnacho as 2 10s, 2 players that have no right playing in these positions for Man United. And this is what I'm trying to say about Amorim. He surprised me because I didn't see this coming. And this is why another reason for me, he has to go. Because to play Garnacho as a 10 is a sackable offence in itself, And he has to take criticism for that. Exactly, the XR. That's like Adama Traore type of profile. So Adama Traore, with his profile in a 3 at the back, in a 3-4-2-1 system, he's ideal for wing back. Why is that? Because he's got pace and power. So he's more suited to playing up and down the touchline. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Or if you want to be trying to be clever, you can play him as a right-sided 3 at the back, because again, not many players will get past him, but defensively he's not aware. But he's got the pace and power for that position and the physicality. But his ideal profile, Adama Traore, is a wing back. You wouldn't play Adama Traore as a 10 because, again, the 10 requires creators, and Adama Traore is not a creator. He's a winger. Winger come wing back, I would say. But yeah, big up. Yeah, Exedra says it's simple. So to keep it simple, it's wingers at wing back, 8s that cover 2 creative 10s. Exactly. Couldn't be any better myself. Which is why when he plays Kobe Manu as a 6, just look at Kobe Manu's attributes. The guy wants to get on the ball at every opportunity. He wants to use his quick feet to engineer a shot. These kind of attributes that he has are more suited to playing as a 10. In a different system, if you're playing a 4-3-3, he can play in midfield as a left central midfielder, or in a 4-2-3-1, he can play slightly deeper as a central midfielder. But this system right now, the 3-4-2-1, the 2 in the middle requires experience, athleticism. You need to have either one or the other, and someone that is good in the first phase, which is why United are struggling in this 3-4-2-1 system, because although you got Casemiro, who's very experienced and again is a leader, he isn't great in the first phase. But you'd play Casemiro because he's got the experience. Ugarte isn't good in the first phase. He isn't good when he gets pressed. He can't pass, but he just runs around like a dog, which a lot of fans just think he's doing a lot than what he's actually doing. And then you've got Bruno Fernandes, again, isn't good when he's pressed, isn't good in the first phase, is experienced. Has a lot of energy, he does run a lot, but the thing is, he's very ill-disciplined, which can cause a problem for the team, And then you've got other players there that are inexperienced, the youngsters like Collier, who's been playing, who can do a job. Sekou Kono hasn't played, and this is why United are struggling now, because they've got players there that they need to that need to be upgraded if you're going to stick with this system. But this is why this system, for me, needs to change. Yeah. Big up to Mana Rakiza Ivan. Big up. So DXR says financial statements can easily be cooked. Laughing my ass off. Even auditors are in on it. So I don't believe if United got no money. Listen, I don't believe this whole talk about United not having money. This is a worldwide institution, Man United. Why would they not have any money? They might not have the money of, well, they won't have the money that a Real Madrid or one of the top sides in the world have. But I'm pretty sure they have I'm pretty sure they have money if they need to go out and buy, a statement signing. But we're gonna see in the summer anyway. We're gonna see in the summer. Yeah, big up, Gamer Man. Yeah, I've spoken to them already. So Sham, if you're in there as well, or if you see the stream after, make sure you shout me, man, in the comments. And I'll make you a mod. The same with DXR. Once the stream's ended. But big up, man. Gav, you speak my language, my man. 100% agree with everything you said there. As for possible signings that you haven't mentioned, Oscar Mingueza, left back, 30 million, Celta Vigo, Alex Baena. Big up, Exedra. What I would say, Mingueza used to be at Barcelona. I'm not sure if you remember. He used to be at Barcelona. And I think he's actually a right back, Mingueza, because he come through at Barcelona. And from what I remember of him, he wasn't that good, Would I sign him at left back? I wouldn't. I think if I'm basing it on this system right now, the ideal left wing back for me is Ryan Aït-Nouri at Wolves. If I'm looking at someone, because Nuno Mendes was an unachievable target, but he was someone that I wanted when there was links to him, but that was never going to happen. So if I look now, I'm looking at Aït-Nouri. You got Kirkez as well. But I think Aït-Nouri, in terms of his quality on the ball, for me, is ideal. Alex Baena is a top player, and I can see Baena going to Barcelona. For me, he's a Barca-type player. And if Man United could get a Baena, then, again, that would be great business. But there hasn't been any links to Baena, but he's a top player, man. And for me, I can see him ending up at Barcelona, possibly a Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid. Because I think he, although he's at Villarreal, who are fourth, I do believe his ceiling is a team that's competing for Champions League. I think he's that good, But yeah, Exagger, big up yourself, man. Big up. Big up Nathan Lemus. Gav, mate, I'm sorry. Please forgive me, Spud. Yeah, big up, man. Yeah, big up, Nathan, man. So Exagger says, bless the YouTube algorithm that you've popped up on my feed. Word for word, the same thing I've argued about to other United fans. Exagger, as I said, I'm my channel, is just to talk about the uncomfortable truths. And again, obviously, I won't get into it today, but there's been massive problems, and I'm talking from a racial issue at Man United for years that I've spoken about that I've been talking about since I had a platform. So there's massive issues at this club, and as I said, I won't go into it now, but if you ever want to have a chat about it sometime on it, then yeah, feel free, man, to ask me questions. But there's been problems for this club for a while. There's certain players in this fan base. There's certain players that get forced out of this club by this fan base, and we all know why that is. To think that Man United have a strike force right now, that the manager's preferred three is Bruno Fernandes, Garnacho, and Rasmus Højlund, just tells you all you need to know at why this club is an absolute joke at the moment. And I'm just hoping that Ineos, finally finally from someone from within the club see the light and just get rid of these players that are not good enough, But as I said, yeah, big up yourself, man, for coming on, and yeah, some great questions. Yeah, no, DXR, no worries, bro. No worries, man. As I said, hit me up after the stream's ended, man. Just give me a comment and I'll make you a mod on my channel, man, for sure. Right, guys, last question before I bounce, but big up everyone. So Zedjo says, yeah, you're right, Gav. Mingueza was right back. He's been the reason Celta Vigo are 7th in La Liga this season. Aston Villa have been linked with him. He's got quality. Do you know what? I'm surprised because, as I said, I didn't actually know he was at Celta Vigo because, as I said, I remember him at Barcelona. And when I remember him, he wasn't that great, to be honest. He didn't look really natural with the ball. And at Barcelona, playing as a right back, you're coming in to replace a Dani Alves that have been there, even Nelson Semedo, Cancelo. Like, I think Cancelo might have been there afterwards, actually. But as a right back, you need to have some certain quality on your on the ball. And for me, I didn't see too much personally. So yeah, I'm surprised that he's been linked with Aston Villa. Or I'm surprised that he's actually doing as well as you're saying, because I haven't really watched much of him. But yeah, he's someone that I wouldn't want Man United going for, if I'm honest. There's players that I want United to get. If I'm looking at realistic options, for midfield, for me, Carlos Baleba needs to be made the #1 target for me. If we're talking about, if Ahmad, in this system I'm talking about, if we're talking about Ahmad not playing as a 10 and they're going to play him as a wing back, for me, as a right 10, I'm looking at Ryan Cherky, Tyler Dibbling, Mohamed Kudus. Them three need to be made the top three. Even at Embuemo, I'll say, yeah, I'll say them four. Embuemo, Dibbling, obviously more one for the future. Kudus or Cherky. I wouldn't mind any four of them if Ahmad's not going to play as a 10. If Ahmad's going to play as a 10, then I would say either one of them players to go with Ahmad and then go and get another proper right wing back. I think, again, I would like a left-footed right wing back, so we have to see who that's going to be. If we're saying left 10, again, Cunha and Eze for me. Unrealistic is Florian Wirtz. Florian Wirtz is one of my favourite players, but United not getting him. Like, I see him going to City. But if you can get an Eze or a Cunha in that position, that would be great. Left side centre-back, I like Aiden Heaven. I think if United can listen to offers for Lisandro Martinez, in the summer, and try and get a Castello Luqueba, because, again, the three at the back for me, if you're playing left or right side, you need to be quick in the wide areas. And if Man United was to have Lenny Yoro, right side centre-back, and they got a Castello Luqueba to compete with Aiden Heaven, that'll be out of this world, really. And then you got Matthias de Ligt, as the captain for me, marshalling that defence. That'll be ideal. But again, we have to just wait and see what United are going to do in this transfer window, because for me, what's more important is the outgoings. And if they get rid of the three that I've mentioned, Bruno, if Saudi come in for Bruno, you let Garnacho and Højlund go, then I'll take it more seriously. But yeah, it's not going to be that straightforward. So I have to wait and see. Gamer says, what's your score prediction for tonight? I've said it already. I'm going to say 2-0 PSG. PSG go through for me. Yeah, no doubt PSG will go through. So that's my prediction. And again, I wanted to see a Barca PSG final. Barca getting beat yesterday, which again, I wouldn't say I was devastated. I was just pissed off, really. But I think Inter Milan, yeah, they're in the final now, so it is what it is. But yeah, I expect PSG to make it PSG Inter final. So I'm going to go for 2-0. Yeah, and that's what I've got to say. But guys, listen, big up yourselves for coming on each and every time. So as I said, I reached 1K subscribers yesterday, so just want to say thanks to everyone that's been tuning in, that's helping the channel grow. And obviously on to bigger and better things. And as I said, 1K is the start, a difficult milestone to reach, but I've done it now. And obviously the next milestone is trying to hit 1,500 and then try and go to 2K. So yeah, as I said, yeah, just keep working, guys. It's just that's all that can be done. And as I said, big up to each and every one of you that's come in and has contributed to the channel. And yeah, so obviously Bruno Fernandes, the subject of yeah, big up gamer. Bruno Fernandes, the subject of interest from Saudi. Guys, make sure you check out my poll that is coming out at 3 o'clock, which we in regards to Bruno Fernandes. So as I said, for me, Man United, if they get an offer for Bruno Fernandes, obviously, which is rumoured to be 120 mil, and obviously they're looking to pay him 65 million a year, which is absolutely ridiculous. You know, that's a no-brainer, man. United have to accept that offer and just move on, you know, because Bruno Fernandes won't be the last player to leave this club. And as I said, you know, he's had his time here. And United are in the worst position that they've been in under his tenure, really, you might as well say. So he ain't someone that's going to be that miss for me. But as I said, that offer does need to be accepted if it comes in. So end of the season, we'll have to wait and see. But guys, I'm going to be back at 10 o'clock, obviously doing the match reaction to the PSG Arsenal game. So if you haven't got your notifications on, make sure you put them on. And again, make sure you come through and support the channel even more. And as I said, make sure you get involved in the live chat as well. And yeah, as I said, make sure you contribute to the channel, guys. But big up each and every one of you. Yeah, gamer, man, no worries, man. Yeah, as I said, I'm back at 10 o'clock. Hopefully, it won't go to penalties because I have to re-edit the stream again. You know what I mean? But obviously, hopefully, PSG do it in normal time. And as I said, we'll be back at 10 o'clock to do the reaction to that game. And yeah, hopefully see you guys there. But as I said, DXR, make sure, bro, that you put a comment in the after the stream's ended, and I'll make you a mod. The same with Sham as well. Exedra, big up for coming on, man. Big up for coming on. Some great questions. And as I said, hopefully to see you again tonight at 10 o'clock. But if not, man, yeah, appreciate you coming on and appreciate your questions. And guys, yeah, big up yourselves. As I say, reach 1K, on to bigger and better things. And I'll catch you guys at 10. Take it easy.